Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel, and today we're going to be discussing the Daytona 500. Yes, that is finally happening, and it starts tomorrow. Okay, this contest locks tomorrow at 2:09 p.m., February 18th. But yeah, they're giving away $1 million to first place. So yeah, we are going to be talking about the Daytona 500 here and who I like and who I am looking at rostering tomorrow. With that being said, I will talk about kind of the different price ranges and just some different notes that should be known for tomorrow. And yeah, I'm excited to talk about the race. So, that being said, let's kind of move into the breakdown. So, first we have our kind of 9K range up to 10K. We have Denny Hamlin starting off highest priced driver. Ryan Blaney and Kurt Busch are behind him at 9897. Kyle Larson, Chase Elliott, Joey Logano, and Brad Keselowski round out those drivers. So for Denny Hamlin, he is the highest priced driver on the slate. He is the he is starting in the 8th position tomorrow, and he also was the fastest in the last practice that they had. They were supposed to practice today, but it got rained out. And with that being said, he also is one of the most successful at Daytona. He has 3 total wins here over his career, between the Daytona 500 race and then the other one that's in the spring, or I guess the fall. Um, and with that being said, he has just done really well here. He has good results. With him being the highest priced driver on the slate, I'm not sure how many people are going to go up to him or not. However, pricing is pretty soft the first week, or at least from what I can see, is pretty soft. So he is someone that I am very interested in this week. The next two, Ryan Blaney and Kyle Busch, are both in backup cars, and with that are starting towards the rear. They're probably going to be popular for the place differential points, and I'm actually kind of off them this week just because I think with how big this contest is, I think if I'm going to throw one lineup in, do I really want a high owned Kyle Busch and Ryan Blaney in my lineup, where I can have Denny Hamlin or someone cheaper to potentially get the same fantasy points or more. So I'm not typically on them, or at least this week I'm not looking to be on them. Kyle Larson is someone I'm interested in. He just always finds his way to the front. Last year was another great year for him. He had I can't remember how many wins he had. 5 wins. He was towards the front a lot. He knows how to stay out of trouble, for the most part. And at this race, that's what a lot of it is staying out of trouble. And at 9,500, I think he's priced way too cheap, especially for kind of where he was priced last year. I know this is the first race of the year, but I would have expected him to be higher. So I am very interested in Kyle Larson this week too. Chase Elliott and Joey Logano. Chase Elliott had a terrible year last year. Part of that was he was suspended and wasn't around for some of the races, and then he wasn't able to qualify for the playoffs, and it just was a whole mess. I think he has a great bounce back year this year. Do I think this is the spot to use him? No, because I think a lot of people are going to be on him this week. He's fast. He's a great driver. Very popular with the fans. And I would say with this contest having $1 million first place, I think just on name recognition and fan favoritism, he'll probably have more ownership. For Joey Logano, he starts on the pole. He is an interesting name this week, I think. He struggled last season with consistency, still made the playoffs, still, had a decent year, but he kind of, I feel like, needs a breakout year this year. He hasn't, he's just been kind of meh this over the last few years, and I think it would be great if he was able to get a win to start off the year. He is starting from the pole. He's probably going to be one of the lower owned, I would probably guess, of this higher price group. But I don't know if I have interest in him. I would like the story, but I don't think he is making my list this week. With that, Brad Keselowski is our last driver. He is at 9K flat, and he is someone that interests me as well, but I think he doesn't have the upside as some of these other drivers do. But if I were to rank my top three, it would be Denny number one, Kyle Larson number two, and Joey number three. That would be my ranking for my personal preference. With that, we'll go to the 8K to 9K range. We got Chris Buescher starting it off at 8,800, William Byron 8,700, Bubba Wallace 8,500, Christopher Bell 8,300, Martin Truex Jr. 8,200, Ross Chastain 81, and Ricky Stenhouse Jr. 8K flat. Out of this group, one that's really sticking out to me is Chris Buescher at 8,800. I think he might go overlooked this week. He was a very consistent driver last season and kind of showed that he is able to drive when he needs to, do well. He is up front a lot, fastest laps led. He can get hot pretty easily. He is also someone I'm looking at as a narrative this week. He and his, I believe, wife or girlfriend just had a baby, and so he could have, just a little extra motivation, to do well this week. Coming back to drive tomorrow, so he's just someone I'm looking at just based off of price and his ability. With that being said, the next person in this range I'm really interested in is William Byron at 8,700. I think it's kind of nuts that he's actually $100 less than Chris Buescher, and I'm surprised he's not closer to the higher end of the 9K range. So he is someone I'm very interested in this week. Good driver, not usually involved in the wrecks. He's pretty consistent, and I think he and Buescher go under-owned here, with people looking at Truex at starting in the 27th position, Bubba Wallace starting in the 24th position, and especially Ricky Stenhouse starting in the 35th position, just for the place differential points and the, I guess, salary saving or mid-range. Christopher Bell at 8,300 is super interesting because he starts fourth. He's really fast, along with Denny Hamlin. He just doesn't have the consistency that I would like to see, and he just can get caught up in wrecks. Not that that's like on him, but I mean, he's solid all around. should find the top 10 or, top fives. I just don't think he, which, well, I mean, he could pay off the salary at 8,300. It's just kind of hard to room for improvement. If he finishes like eighth, then it's like there's not as much value there. But if he, leads laps or have fastest laps, that kind of makes up for it. It's just kind of hard to click his name, I think, for me personally. With that, the top three would be Buescher, Byron, and probably Chastain for me. I think a lot of people aren't going to play Chastain this week. With that, we'll move to the 7K range. We got Tyler Reddick at 7,800, Jimmy Johnson returning at 7,700, Eric Jones 7,600, Alex Bowman 7,500, Ty Gibbs 7,400, Austin Dillon 7,300, Michael McDowell 7,200, Chase Briscoe 7,100, and Austin Cindric at 7K flat. The first person that jumps out to me is Alex Bowman at 7,500. Last season, he was coming off of a back injury that he suffered earlier in the year, which inhibited him from running well. And I think now that he's had time off to recover from the injury, he is fully healthy, and was one of the premier young drivers in the game. He finished third at the duel earlier this week, and I think he needs a good year to secure that his spot for Joe Gibbs Racing. I believe he races for Hendrick, my bad, for Hendrick Motorsports. I think he needs a good year, and a good finish at the first race of the year would be a great building block for the season to come. The next person I'm interested in this range is Ty Gibbs. He's starting 15th. He is starting, I believe, his second season now. So he's gotten some good experience under his belt. Solid driver. Fast car. I'm not sure how many people play him this week, but he's someone that I'm very interested in for tournaments. And then the last person in this range I'm interested in is actually no one. If I had to choose, it would probably be Eric Jones. Struggled last season, had his moments. He starts up front, which, well, not like up front, but like in the middle of the pack. And I think if he can either stay in that front part, up towards the front of the pack, I think he can provide some good value for this slate. I think he'll be less owned than other people may think. And because of his starting position, I think he'll be less owned. But yeah, something is just calling me to him out of this range. So yeah, first, Alex Bowman. Second, Ty Gibbs. Third, Eric Jones. Then we'll move into the 6K range. We got Daniel Suarez starting in the 13th position at 6,900. Ryan Preece, 6,800. Josh Berry, 6,600. David Reagan, 6,500. John Hunter Nemechek, 6,400. Noah Gragson, 3,800 or 6,300. AJ Allmendinger, 62, and then Corey LaJoie at 6K. Out of this range, honestly, AJ at 62 is kind of the one person I'm interested in. Noah Gragson, he's returning from his, suspension whatever you kind of want to call it. Um, he's a solid driver. That's not the issue. And he's starting in 38th position. And he's in a Stewart Haas car. So I think there's some upside at his price. I'm curious what his ownership is going to look like tomorrow. But he's someone that I'm looking at. I never get Daniel Suarez right. You know, do I think that this is a race for him? Not necessarily. I think his style doesn't necessarily suit this racetrack. But, I mean, he's starting 13th. He's had some good finishes. Last year he finished 7th here. So, like, he can succeed. I just, at his starting position, I'm not necessarily sure how well he does. Yeah, all these are just kind of like dart throws. If I had to rank them, probably AJ number 1, Noah number 2, number 3, Josh Berry. I don't like that he's 6,600. You know, I can pay $400 less and get 2 spots closer with Allmendinger, who's a better proven driver. But with that, we'll move into the 5K range, the bottom. And we have Carson Hocevar at 5,900, Zane Smith 5,800, Justin Haley 5,700, Kaz Gralla 5,600, Todd Gilliland 5,500, Harrison Burton 5,400, Daniel Hemrick 5,300, Anthony Alfredo 3,900, and Riley Herbst 3,600. Out of this group, Daniel Hemrick is someone I'm interested in. He is starting towards the rear, and I believe he is starting either in a backup car or is had some issue. So he's someone I'm interested in. He was a rookie, went back down to Xfinity after a couple years in the top series here, and then did really well the past couple years. Now he's back up. So I like him a little bit this week. I think Todd Gilliland is going to get a ton of ownership as that, you know, guy from last year who was kind of the what would value play. Yeah, there's really not much down here that I like. If I'm going to rank him, Hemrick would be number 1. Number 2 would be probably Gilliland. Number 3 would be Justin Haley, I would say. Yeah, it's kind of tough down here. Yeah, there's a couple value plays out there, but I think it's going to be more of a balanced build, or maybe, you know, you're just clicking one guy that you're looking at who's starting, you know, either towards the rear or one value play, and then you kind of do 2 medium plays and 3 bigger plays, or 3 bigger priced guys, you know. So, you know, maybe it's like Denny, and then if you want to do Blaney or Bush, just go Bush. You got 7,500. Can still pay up a bit if you want. You know, Christopher Bell. Like, there's money that can be moved around. You can go Truex, save some, or with the place differential. Maybe if you want to take a chance on Gregson, 6,300, you got 7,500 left. You know, Bowman, Gibbs, Dillon, McDowell, you know, something like that. You know, maybe not something I'm going to do. Or you be contrarian and maybe start Logano, a couple people up in the front, maybe Reddick, and then have a couple guys from the back, maybe like Justin Haley, not from the back, but middle of the pack, because now you got 9,500 still left. You could go to Denny, and then you still have 9K left. So like, there's room to like make certain things work if you want it to. Pricing is very soft, as I said. Leaving salary on the table is a good way to differentiate yourself in lineups, comparative to others. And so, with this specific tournament, there's over 100,000 entries. You don't want to be duped, especially if we're trying to win $1 million. So make sure that your lineup is different, unique. You're doing something you feel as if is different than the field, and that can be many different ways. I know a big strategy that people talk about is playing people towards the rear, or playing some of the cheap guys who hopefully they stay on the lead lap or they go a couple laps down, then with cautions brought back into the lead lap, accidents, that sort of thing is also a strategy. So just be ready to have fun. Hopefully we all do well. I think the Daytona 500 is one of the more exciting events to happen, especially at the beginning of the year, and it's something I'm super excited about. So with that, if you enjoyed the video, make sure to like and subscribe to the channel, and comment who your favorite driver is this week and who you think is going to win the Daytona 500. With that being said, thanks for watching, and hope to see you next time.